Satellites don't exist because, number one, you never see them in ISS, and you should see them. That alone tells you they don't exist. Okay, that alone. Not to mention the launches with that parabolic curve, all right, where they actually curve horizontally, all right, not just a curve to try to curve around the Earth and reach terminal velocity by curving using the curvature of the Earth. That's crazy because you want to stay straight up. You don't want to give gravity more of an angle to pull on. You want to stay straight up to give it less of a profile to pull on. So going this way makes no sense whatsoever. That's counterproductive in the heliocentric model. But no, I do not believe there are satellites. There are high-flying balloons, high-altitude balloons, high-altitude aircraft, long-range aircraft, and they give us the photographs and stuff that we have. So satellites simply are not possible.
You know, if you are a flat earther and you're watching this and you've been doing it as long as me, and it's been 3 or 4 years for you right now, and you're still uncovering truths, you know, layers and layers and layers upon lies. And if you're making videos, don't get discouraged about people that are taking your videos and chopping them up and putting them on their channel and trying to make us look like fools. Because there'll be a day, and that day will come soon, where they're going to need us. And they're going to want to talk to us because they're going to be so fucking confused because they still think they live on a ball. When we know we live on a flat plane. We're the smartest people in the world knowing this information. This piece of the puzzle that has been a lie throughout in our entire lives. You know? I spent close to 40 years thinking we lived on a ball. But then a light bulb went off and I became the smartest person in the world.
I think Earth is described as a closed system, isn't it?
No. How do you get to the moon?
I think the Saturn V.
Sorry, if it's a closed system, how do you get to the moon?
You leave on the Saturn V and you head there. I mean, it's not closed like a door or anything like that. It's a closed system.
That's what closed means.
Sorry, that's what closed means. Excuse me, what's your name? I'll call you fuckwit, because you don't understand what a closed system is. Can you bring up the definition of the word closed for this retard? Regardless of what this complete moron asserts, if you're leaving Earth in rockets, we're not. But if you think we are, that's open, not closed. I will say it again for this retard. So you complete retard. You are a moron. We are not talking about liquids, you complete moron. Say, I am a retard. I think matter can escape from a closed system because I'm a retard. Say those words to me. Such nonsense is retarded.
I mean, we're literally looking up if Earth...
I don't want to know what you're looking up. I want you to repeat after me. I am a retard. Such nonsense is retarded.
I mean, we're literally looking up if Earth...
I don't want to know what you're looking up. I want you to repeat after me. I am a retard, because I have asserted that matter can escape from a closed system, making me a retard. Isn't you repeating? Repeat after me, retard. I think matter can escape a closed system because I am a retard.
Yeah, so this is where I was when I was searching for...
That's not a repetition of I am a retard. I believe matter can escape a closed system because I'm a retard. Repeat those words, retard. I can consider you intellectual. You're not. You're a complete retard. But I can consider you intellectual even though you're not.
I'm reading the thing right there while you're talking. It says distinguishing between an open and closed system involves the exchange of matter and energy.
Right. So if matter and energy exchanges, then it's an open system, you dingbat. You complete idiot. Why are you doing this? Why are you so stupid? Why are you so retarded? The assertion of a retard. Oh, so if it's man-made, we can get through this invisible barrier that's not a barrier. So rockets can get through the invisible barrier, can they, retard?
Yeah, there's not barriers have nothing to do with open or closed systems.
Yes, that's absolutely what barriers are. That would be the container. It would be the thing that defines whether or not it's open or closed. So to assert, again, that barriers have nothing to do with whether or not something is open or closed would only be asserted by somebody who is a retard. That would be you.
Right, yeah, sure.
Yes, that's correct. You are a retard.
No, you guys have to understand. You don't, so I'll explain it to you. When it says closed system for matter or energy, it's talking about coming and going, the transfer of it. That's why with the energy, it's coming and going. When it's talking about the matter that's leaving, the gases, they consider that negligible because it's not a transfer of matter. It's matter that's escaping barely.
Sorry, if it's escaping, it's escaping. Doesn't matter if you want to describe it as barely because you're a retard. If it's escaping, it's an open system. If it was closed, it wouldn't be escaping in any quantity because it would be closed.
You guys can redefine things if you want, but this is...
No, I'm not redefining anything. A closed system is closed to matter, matter doesn't escape. An open system is open to matter, matter escapes.
Yeah.
If matter is escaping, it's an open system. You are a retard. You can't simultaneously open and closed. You can't have an open-closed box. That's nonsense. Well, retard? Hello, retard, you can't have an open-closed box. It's nonsense, doublespeak. Why do you keep asserting that it's closed when it's open?
No, I'm just teaching your audience.
You're not teaching my audience anything. You're being a retard and embarrassing yourself. I'll say it again for the retard who doesn't understand and thinks it's more complicated than the words I'm using.
This show has been pivotal in teaching a lot of people and all of us working together to come to these conclusions. You know, I mean, this is what's been so great about it, having an open panel when people can come on, the Globers can come and they can put their arguments forward and we can counter that. And we're all educating ourselves as well as educating the audience.
You know why the sky looks curved? Because there's a little dome. It's a dome. And then the earth is right here. And that's why in the Bible it says it's the center of the universe, because God is always watching over us. If science is observable in experiments, you can figure out things through experiments, then with a rocket launch, you can obviously see the Earth is flat. Okay, so with this rocket launch and several other ones, and with that balloon video I showed you before, the GoPro, you can see it's flat, guys. Your eyes do not deceive you like, you know, Brain Games, that Brain Games show, and all kinds of other scientists believe that your eyes are incorrect. God made your eyes the way they are because you witness and see things. It's when your senses and you see through your eyes. They do not lie to you. The colors you see are the colors you see. And it's a bunch of baloney, guys, when they tell you otherwise. Don't listen to science and theories. Facts and things that you can observe are true, okay? So like the flat earth, when you go up in the rockets, guys, when you see that it is flat, it is flat. It is not round. It doesn't look round on the on the surface. When you go out of the earth, it's not round, and then when you go into the earth, it's suddenly, oh, it appears to be flat. No, it's bullcrap, guys. It's ridiculous. Your eyes do not deceive you, okay? So don't listen to it.
Let's go to the Q&A with Mr. Mark Sargent.
Flat Earth and this conference isn't about me. It isn't about the speakers. It is about you. You guys make up the mass of the membership, you and the millions of others that couldn't make it here for whatever reason. Anyone that asks a question will automatically get a customized Flat Earth Illuminati card right here.
We see the North Star at night, and we see time-lapse photography of stars moving about it.
Right.
So that all makes sense for us.
Yeah.
But it's also doing it at the alleged South Pole,
right,
where there's about 6 stars.
Right.
How do we perceive that one?
Now, and of course, you know, I can't speak for all the people that are going to be, you know, as you know, the Flat Earth community is divided on a number of issues. We can all agree it's absolutely not a globe. and everyone's got their own thing. But with me, when it comes to that, I treat it no different than a planetarium. I'm a little bit older. I don't know if you guys have planetariums up here. To answer your question, yes, there are a whole bunch of famous people they're into this, but they have a lot to lose. They're not going to come out until they know the media won't crucify them. The story, and I'll elaborate just a little bit on this, was when I was, Rob and Patricia and I, we were at this particular Hollywood person's place, and he asked us, he goes, well, don't you want to know how I found out about it? It's like, well, because we're talking about different circles. And we said, yes. And he said, I heard about it at the Oscars this year. He was at an Oscar party, and that's what they were talking about when they were drinking champagne. You'd think they'd be talking about awards and stuff. No, no, no. They were talking about stuff, and the person that introduced him to it is an A-lister as well. And he said the same, I'll tell you that. He said that there are a lot of people in high-ranking positions. And that thing I mentioned, I know I probably glossed over it pretty quickly, one of the Wall Street hedge fund guys, the CEO of a massive hedge fund in the United States. I can't even show that picture to anybody because it would actually affect the stock price.
My brother Elliot had a question for me on top of the mountain the other day in Hudson Hope, BC. It was a clear, starry night. We were standing there having a beer. And he says, tell me something, Mr. Flat Earther. He says, why isn't it we can't see the fucking moon tonight? And I didn't have an answer for him. I said, it was 2 nights straight we could not see the moon anywhere.
That's a tough one for me to answer because I get those emails and phone calls all the time. People will say the moon doesn't look right. The phase is wrong, or it's not there, or how can this be, or it's a daylight scenario. What I try to tell them is, for whatever reason, I think whatever the projection system here is, either they're leaving us breadcrumbs deliberately, or it's out of sync sometimes, depending on region. I just don't know more than that. But yeah, I believe it's real sometimes. Oh yeah, anytime anybody sends me that, I never say, oh, this guy's full of it. I immediately say, yeah, could be.
Good enough, Mark.
Right?
Yeah. Sometimes various astronomical societies have said that they've seen the star behind the unlit surface of the moon, so you can see stars passing behind it. And I just wonder if you can kind of speak to the quality or the nature of the moon based on that kind of observation.
The moon is no doubt the most unusual thing in the sky. And I don't mean that, for astronomers out there, it's pretty unusual. No, I mean it's really freaky. Is it 2D or is it 3D? And a few things we know for sure. One, of course, the coincidences, the fact that it can fit in front of the sun perfectly because it's 400 times less in diameter and 400 times further or closer than the sun, which is really weird. The second part is, of course, that the moon is completely locked in one visual position. So you always see the same side of the moon, and that isn't hyperbole. You literally see the exact same side of the moon. It doesn't even change a quarter of a degree in 10 years. It's always that same one. And, of course, the third one, which I love so much, is the moon temperature, which is, guys, you can test this yourself. You can go out and buy a point-and-click infrared thermometer at, I don't know, whatever place that sells it here. And for like $15, $17, I'm not going to do the conversion. And then, shoot moonlight and shoot moon shade and show it yourself. What you're talking about, though, as far as are the stars shining through it? I don't know. I mean, some people have shown me pictures that, it kind of looks like that. I'm almost beginning to believe it's more 2-dimensional than it is 3-dimensional. It's still emitting some sort of its own light. I know that. I know it's self-illuminated, at the very least. Don't get me wrong. Whatever you want to throw at your friends to use, and say, oh yeah, by the way, the Earth is flat because of this. That's fine if they believe it. But most people don't have the grasp on where the sun and the moon should be. Same thing, I have to bring this up real quick, which is the Foucault pendulum experiment, which every once in a while we'll bring it up. Foucault should give us a lot more problems in the community. The reason it doesn't is because even mainstream science has a hard time explaining how it should work. And so when a scientist goes on about how the Foucault thing should work, they can't even explain it in less than 5 minutes because it screws with people's heads. So.
Paul-Michel Foucault, the guy we all know for the pendulum effect. Apparently it shows the rotation of the Earth. What do we know about Foucault? Not that much really. French, pendulums, that's about it. That's all we know about it. This is the guy. He died in 1988, 1984, aged 57. Does anybody know what he died of? I didn't know what he died of. Presumably old age. There's not that much in it, but for the fact that he was gay, openly gay. He died of HIV, and that's about as much as you can tell. Everything else in here is generally not that, not that interesting. There's not that much in it. One thing I want to show you is that if you do a Control and F in here and type in pendulum, no mention of the pendulum. Foucault's pendulum is supposed to show the rotation of the Earth. Wouldn't you think that if that was true, it would at least get a mention in his Wikipedia page? Interesting that it's not even mentioned. But nonetheless, there is something that goes a little bit further that I found in a clip that I was watching. How's about this for a character witness?
Provincial pederast named Michel Foucault, a leading light of postmodernism in his own right. Foucault's time at the ENS alternated between attempted suicide and attempted homicide. Foucault started off as a Nietzschean Marxist and allegedly was a speechwriter, a ghostwriter for Jean Canapat of the Politburo of the Stalinist French Communist Party. Foucault has developed the doctrine that we are all deviants. This was picked up by R.D. Laing and other exponents of anti-psychiatry and used in their cost-cutting campaign to shut down the mental hospitals. The mentally ill who were thrown out on the streets to become homeless and to freeze to death can thank Foucault. Foucault later became a Maoist. He preached mass extermination on the Pol Pot model. And later in his life, in the 70s, he discovered the San Francisco Nazis in leather sadomaso scene.
And you guys think that this thing proves that the Earth rotates? Really?
Guys, when you do experiments, they work, okay? They work. You see what the experiment is and the observation and then the conclusion, and that's what it is. And it's ridiculous when people come up with these theories and they push them into fact when you can't observe it. It does not work, okay? Just like the round earth theory, it doesn't work at all. And as you see with this evidence, guys, it obviously supports the flat earth, okay? So you need to do your research just like I am showing you guys, and it works. It's an experimentation with the conclusion being the flat earth, guys. So that's how it is. Rockets, in fact, do go up. People do them, like the Russians did send rockets up. Now, where there's satellites or, Sputnik and satellites and, spaceships up in space, now those things are faked. They may have made some, props and to make it look like we have space shuttles, but they're not real. You can't send a space shuttle in space because, in fact, it's going to hit the dome just like a rocket would here when this person tested. I mean, there's no reason to make a space shuttle when you can't go out of the dome. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, guys. It's all for looks. That's what NASA likes to do. They're a big, huge hoax. They do have, in fact, rockets they send up, but they like to make you think that they go places when they don't.
If you watch any kind of small tidbits of news on your Facebook feed or YouTube, you'll notice that they're starting to push what the Pentagon is releasing and the government in the United States is releasing on aliens actually being true.
Right.
Why do you think in the recent past, like last 6-7 months, there's been such a strong push by the government and the media to start releasing hidden Pentagon papers and stuff like that to prove aliens?
And that's a good question. I'm glad you brought that up. The question is why is the government bringing up other things? And I've stated since the beginning that flat Earth is not the end of this story. We seem to be the framework for a canvas that hasn't been laid out yet. And that's part of what I do every day. I just keep thinking of, okay, what are you doing? I keep watching a ton of media. But yes, what could, because people say, okay, well, what's bigger than flat Earth? Not much. Two things could be bigger than flat Earth. One would be the admission, the actual full-blown admission of an advanced civilization bigger than ourselves, which also could lead into intelligent design. And the other thing would be why we are here. And yeah. So every story you see that's coming out, and there have been more and more every month, it's mostly because of us. Because flat Earth, remember, it's the ultimate open-minded test. If you can get your head around flat Earth, you shouldn't be able to shoot down any conspiracy. You should, remember that I've told people, it's like, beforehand they say, well, hey, I knew a guy that swears that Elvis had Bigfoot's baby. Beforehand, I'd be, get out of here. I don't want to talk to you. Now, I'll give him a couple minutes.
The Earth is flat and not a ball because everything of outer space is CGI, not real. Yeah, use your discernment, please. We've never landed on the moon.
Earth exists.
Yes. No, not at all.
So how are we here?
We were created.
By who?
I don't know. I believe that it was the biblical God, personally.
And he only made Earth.
He only made us.
So what
Yes.
about the sun?
We are special.
What about the sun?
The sun is a localized light, not 93 million miles away.
What about the moon?
The moon is just a light in the sky.
What about the stars?
They're just lights in the sky. We're not here to dominate the sky. Just investigate flat Earth, okay?